Alright, welcome back to the channel, and we'll be doing the player ratings for the recent game between Arsenal and Bournemouth, 1-2. A very disappointing night from the boys, and in light of recent results, Man City looking very, very strong against Chelsea, beating them 3-0. So it's going to be a nervy times. If we maintain this form going into the Etihad next week, it's looking rough, and I feel like it's starting to slip away from us. But anyway, we'll look forward to that, and hopefully, the boys have bounced back in the past this season, so they need to just dig deep and get a result next week. They just can't afford to lose that game. All right, onto the player ratings for Bournemouth. Let's start with David Raya, our goalkeeper, and I think Raya was an okay performance. There weren't any miraculous saves that he had to do. Wasn't able to save the two shots that Bournemouth were able to score on. Obviously, they were very, very hard shots to keep out. They were very, very easy shots. The first one being right in front of goal, wide open net. The ball deflects into the path of Krupi and the back post. Started off from a really bad mistake from Madueke not to pick up the run on the opposite wing. And you could argue Miles Skelly should have tagged along with Krupi, but it was a deflected cross. Anything can happen in that situation. More on his distribution, I was pretty let down by Raya's distribution that night. Most of his balls, especially in the second half, he was just passing it straight to the other goalkeeper for whatever reason. I don't know, I wasn't sure if it was a game plan from Arteta in the second half to keep going long, try to play in behind the lines, but obviously it was just not working. And again, Raya, we were lucky not to concede another goal playing out of the back from Raya. He tries to pass it with the outside of his boot, and Evan Nilsson was right in the path of it. And if the ball had bounced a little bit kinder for Evan Nilsson, we would have been 3-1 down. So really disappointed with Raya's passing overall. In terms of corners and cross claiming, still world class. Nothing to complain about that, but otherwise, pretty average. I'm going to put him as an average. Alright, Ben White. He is... I don't know what to think about him. He has his bright moments. I think overall he had an okay game. The first goal, even though he did play down to his side of the pitch, I think it was more on Madueke to pick up the run of, I think it was Truppier. But otherwise, look, going forward, didn't really get involved. I'm starting to say that a lot, am I, about Ben White? I think that's one of his strengths as the right fullback, something that he's supposed to be, that's supposed to put him alongside Timber. Yes, Timber is a world-class defender, but Ben White, he is supposed to be that person that unlocks the offense for us. And obviously, I think he does a lot better when there's Saka and Odegaard on that side of the pitch. But even with Madueke and Havertz in this game round, he has to find ways to be more effective, and he hasn't been able to do that ever since his return to starting lineup, especially. And you can think about maybe it's a correlation of our poor performances. Maybe Ben White just isn't it, and it's really a shame. Timber is world class, not so you can't compare. But we just need him to step it up right now, because until Timber gets back, which we don't know yet, I think he's starting to be on a day-to-day situation. But until that happens, Ben White needs to lift for us. I'm gonna have to put him as a poll. Saliba, he continues to be probably our best, most consistent player on the pitch, even through the losses that we've suffered so far. Saliba is just amazing. We're just so lucky to have him. And if it wasn't for him, who knows how many goals Bournemouth scores that night? Who many? You know, he's able to. He's a calming presence when the ball is with him. He just doesn't seem to give the ball away. He's able to dribble his way out of trouble, and defensively he's just rock solid. Because makes the tackles, makes the blocks, makes the interceptions, organizes the defense really well. Can't really say anything much about him other than, yeah, good performance. Good or very good, not sure. I'll leave him as a good for now, but I might bump as a very good just to put him as a step above as the rest of the players. Because I think he was our team man of the match, so maybe I'll put him as a very good. Well done. Gabriel, his partner. Again, I think we know his quality on the ball is nowhere near as good as Saliba. He does have a pass in him. We did see that, if you remember, against the Southampton game. That through ball into Havertz was unbelievable. So he does have that in him, but in terms of playing through the back, I think Gabriel definitely is not as comfortable as Saliba, and it does show. It results in him booting the ball up with no target in mind, and just giving away possession. And his back and forth with Raya and Zubimendi at times were very, very shaky in this match, and we could have easily given up a goal, passing it straight to a Bournemouth player in the back as we were building up. And part of that lies with Gabriel's performance. Defensively, still very good. He made a really, really crucial block, I think, in the first half. Couldn't get involved in the corners again. I think we're starting to maybe are we getting figured out on the set pieces in the corners, especially. Obviously, Havertz should have scored one of them, a brilliant set piece by Rice, but yeah. So great defending, but build up pretty poor. So that sort of balances out as an average, I believe. Miles Lewis-Skelly gets the start last night, and I think he was actually really good. I really enjoyed his performance. Did Lewis-Skelly? I think he was brave. He always puts his body on the line, and he's really good at using his body to shield the ball and get us out of trouble. And he did that immensely. He was winning a lot of balls for us and starting the counter-attack for us. He was brave. He had that energy. He had that fight in him, and that is something that most of our players just didn't seem to exhibit. Most of the players out there on the pitch, players that are senior, very, very senior players, very experienced players, they just didn't have it in them that night. But Lewis-Skelly was one of those players that had it in him. So I think he was, for the most part, pretty faultless. You might have to dock him some points for the first goal potentially, but I think that was more unfortunate situation. That happens all the time, a deflection of a cross, and it just goes, the flight path is just absolutely unexpected. I'm going to put Lewis-Skelly as a good, really good performance from him, because, yeah, with Calafiori and Capier being injury prone, we need him to be there to step up, and he definitely did so that night. Declan Rice, there's a stat going around that he and Zubimendi together, they lost 29 balls to Bournemouth. Declan Rice losing the ball 17 times, but it definitely didn't feel like he was performing bad. He was one of those players that, again, drawing back to the Lewis-Skelly comment, he had that fight in him. He wore the, one second, let me clear this up. He wore the captain's armband for, I think, the first time of the night, since obviously Odegaard was out injured. And boy, did we miss Odegaard this game. I think Odegaard would have suited this game really well. And then we've seen, in the past, Gabriel take the armband, Ben White take the armband, but tonight, Declan Rice wore it. And I think he definitely displayed his leadership on the pitch, especially after the first goal. I would have liked to see that fight in him a little bit earlier to rally the troops, But after the first goal, he was one of the only players out there trying to fight for the equalizer back. He was ready to take the game on. He was willing to hit those shots from range, just trying to get the game moving in our favor. He was making some brilliant runs through the midfield, and he was ultimately let down by his wingers. And then, there was that brilliant corner from Declan Rice that should have been finished by Havertz, but instead Havertz mistimes it off his shoulder and over the bar. So look, in another day, these chances go through, and we will be raving on about Declan Rice's performance tonight for setting up everything, for orchestrating everything, because certainly the other two midfielders that we will mention soon, they definitely did not. Declan Rice, I will put as a good. Obviously not a flawless performance, but I think he was solid. Zubimendi, straight into the poor category. Oh my god, Zubimendi, where has this gone? Where has this player gone? He was touted to be the best transfer of the season, and he definitely looked like it. He was scoring from range. He was creative in our build-up. He was assisting us. He was making brilliant tackles and winning the second ball constantly and winning aerial duels. You could maybe argue that he hasn't played this much ever in his career, obviously coming from La Liga in Real Sociedad, where a team isn't expected to make these deep runs in the Champions League or whatnot. So this is his first exposure to that sort of environment. But he is a professional. He plays for the national team. He's a national team starter. He needs to find at that level. And, he was able to enjoy a pretty restful international break. Spain didn't play him at all, if not maybe half an hour in total of 2 matches. So he was quite well rested. Obviously, he did play the full match against Sporting, but he needs to be able to get up and dig deep for a tie like this. And Zubimendi was really, really poor, and no excuse. Every other player that played in this match played in against the Sporting game, and out of all of them, I think Zubimendi was definitely the one most just not up to that level at the moment. It's a real shame, because we need him to be that deep lying playmaker, and right now he is giving the ball away constantly. Kai Havertz, again, poor performance from him as well. I don't really understand why we're trying to play him as that number 10 cam role. I think he's way more suited as a striker. If we want to play him as a striker alongside Gyökeres, I would rather him play alongside in like a 4-4-2 sort of situation. But right now, playing him as that cam role, it just isn't working out for him. He doesn't seem to have any involvement in the game. He was loose with his passes, obviously at fault at missing a very simple header that should have equalized us a lot earlier on, and potentially give us a chance to get more momentum in the game. And never really got into it. Was a non-factor this whole game, and I think it's definitely showing that he's not suited for this role. Eze obviously on the bench. I would have liked to see Eze start, but obviously you don't want to rush someone that just came back from injury. So very understandable that he started on the bench to manage his minutes. But not a great showing from Havertz, and he's definitely more suited to play at the striker role. And I want to see that pairing. I want to see Gyökeres or Havertz starting at the lone striker, and then moving forward sub either of them off for each other. I think that's the setup that we need to approach. If you're looking at our squad, who can play that cam role? Well, obviously Eze is back. Should we put Dalman in as that role, as a starter? Maybe. I'm not sure if that's a bit too much to ask of him. But we need to find some sort of balance in the squad. And it's really showing, Odegaard keeps getting injured. It's really, really bad. Obviously, we're really missing Marino right now. So, yeah, a big void. But Eze is back for the Man City game, hopefully, if he doesn't get injured by Sporting. So fingers crossed. Trossard, again, same situation as Zubimendi. Where has Trossard gone? He started off the season brilliantly. He was potentially a player of the season, but ever since the start of the calendar year, he has been woeful. His technical ability is gone. He no longer is able to control and retain possession, which was his superpower back then. The ability to retain possession, to dribble his way out of danger, to create chances on that wing, and he's just not it. Noni Madueke, I think he had put up an average performance. Was okay, looked threatening, but didn't have that end product in him. And there was a couple of moments where he would just dribble out for a goal kick, just a heavy touch, and across the line it goes. So yeah, Gyökeres, first of all, brilliant penalty. He is our best penalty taker, and you can see why. He has not missed a single penalty for us, and he is relentless. He is definitely in one of those patches of form, and we need to relish it right now, because at the moment he's not getting enough chances to do so. I think the game plan around us in the second half didn't suit him. We were playing the ball long, and he was trying to run on to the ball, whereas I think he should have been more inclined to knock the ball down, hold up play, and then proceed from that. There were a couple of times he did do that late in the second half that were really, really good, and it led to a couple of chances. I think one of the chances dead fought to his feet, and got the ball out of his feet and scuffed it wide very late in the game. A cross comes in and he misses the header. Should have gone out for a corner, to be fair, but again, should have done better with that. It's a complicated one. He is in form, but at the same time, he can do a bit better in those situations. But he's only getting those situations very few times, and we just need to give him more opportunities to get into the game earlier and quicker. And there were a couple of times where he showed his frustration where the ball just wasn't played to him early enough. And yeah, it's definitely something that we need to work on, because right now our build-up into attack is woeful. It's boring. It's just boring to watch. And I think Gyökeres needs that bit more chaos going forward. I put him as a good. Mikel Arteta, maybe an average, maybe even a poor. Maybe I'll just put him as a poor, because this is a culmination of what has happened over the past couple of weeks. His tactically and the way we play right now is just like we're in quicksand. We're just always so slow, and when we try to build up fast, it's always just really long balls over the top, trying to play in runners, but in the end the execution is not there potentially, and we're just giving the ball away. We need to find a way to play through the midfield, build up with a bit more pace, and when we do break the press, we need to be able to attack the defense immediately. And there were a couple of times where we did that, but we need to do it way more. We need to do it constantly. Against City coming up, we need to do it constantly. He needs to instill that bravery and that want in the players to take the game on. And it's definitely a contribution to why we have looked so putrid lately. And a quick word on the subs. Gabriel Jesus came on for Havertz to play in that cam role, and honestly, he looked pretty good. Maybe that's his new calling, in that cam role. So yeah, he was good. He was good in the build up. He was involved in a couple of chances late in the game that fell to Gyökeres. So I was worried that he was going to be replacing Gyökeres, but I think it was a good move from Arteta, at the very least. Max Dowman came on pretty late and didn't really get too involved. Had a couple of chances to try and dribble around his defender, but to be fair, was dealt with quite well. Couple of moments where he was able to show his body strength and draw some fouls, draw a yellow card later on in the game. So not a bad performance there from Dowman. Gabriel Martinelli, not much of a factor. And Eze came on. Good to see Eze. Love the way he dribbles and controls the ball. He just seems to float around and glides around the pitch. But again, didn't really get involved that much either. So that's my player ratings. A really poor performance. We just need to step it up because Man City are on a roll right now and we look scared.